All right, I'd like to start the day off, first of all, with just remembering the 12 Aggies that passed away 20 years ago today in the Bonfire. I mean, it was a tremendous tragedy that happened to this family and everyone involved, and the great traditions and histories of A&M. And it's amazing. This morning there was over 1,000 people at the Bonfire Memorial, which is a tremendous tribute and typical of the A&M family and the people. And special remembering all the people that passed in that, and to their families. Word of condolences, that's for sure. But getting on, watching the game film from South Carolina, very proud of our team. We knew going in it was going to be a very physical football game. South Carolina plays a very physical brand of football. Knew we was going to have to run the football and try to continue to run the football to be able to set some things up so their front couldn't become one-dimensional, and we had to stop the run on the other side, and we were able to do both of those things for the most part. Their defensive front was very good. There's a lot of really good draft picks on that group. Physical up front, our offensive line did a really good job. Our backs, our tight ends getting better. Receivers did a great job blocking down the field, and we were able to, keep running the football, and sometimes had success, sometimes didn't, but we had to keep pounding away and got some play actions out of it and some nice plays that complemented it, and but did a really nice job playing a physical football game. Defensively, same way, stopping the run and being able to play it and win the down and distance battles on first down and early downs, which got you in longer downs, which enabled us to get better pressure. And like I said, we didn't always get a lot of sacks in the game, but the key to me is not just to how you affect the quarterback. Do you make him move off his spot? Do you make him get batted balls? Does he throw balls? Have to throw them before he wants to throw them and get maybe. And if you can get a clean shot on him, get a clean shot. Things like that. Really, I thought during the game, the attrition of it was very good. So both fronts, in my opinion, did a really, really good job. And actually, that's a good football team. It's a well-coached football team and a very tough football team. So very proud of our guys in that aspect. Defensively, I thought they did a really good job all night. Getting off the field on third down and conversions, really played really well in the things there. Offensively, I thought we ran it well, moved it extremely well. At times, ran it for 330 and threw it for 220, but had good yardage. Wish we could have finished a couple drives in the red zone. Had a couple plays we could have made, but that's it. You played good teams in tight contested areas. Things are going like it happened, but you kept sawing wood, kept pounding, took care of the football. I only had to turn over at the end of the game, but we were taking care of the football too, which was very important. Keeping our defense off the field with a lot of first downs, times of possession, things that we did, and the defense is doing a good job on first down. It limits the opportunities, and it's hard for a team to get in a rhythm. And offensive, we did that, and then we're able to, at the end, be able to run the football with physicality, broke some big runs. Both backs did a good job blocking for each other, our tight ends, our offensive line, and we were able to put the game away and do the things we had to do. Special teams, solid night. Had a really good return. I thought Nias was really good in the punt return game. Unfortunately, we had two critical penalties that broke two good returns that had us up at midfield, and we had to start back at our 10. We got to get that fixed. We missed a field goal, unfortunately. I know Seth's been pretty good, but we can't have that. We got to get that, keep going. But he hit three. He come back and hit some really nice kicks, and the game did a good job. Braden was good, but he actually didn't have his typical night punting the football. But we were pretty good. We covered kicks very well. Our kickoffs were very good, except for the one at the end. We covered punts very well. In that aspect. Again, offensively, one of the things I was proud of, we scored in 2 minutes before the half, was able to get a field goal, which is a long drive, ate it up, got points down there. Didn't like how we started the second half. Thought I'd come out and got a penalty and then had a drop ball and had 2 or 3 things happen. We got to get that cleaned up. But, still a lot of things to work on. We're getting better and better. The young guys are playing with more consistency. We got to keep pounding that to get more consistency out of them because, we got an extremely tough opponent coming up this weekend. Georgia, as you watch the film, as sound an opponent as we'll play and have played. I mean, they're solid in all 3 phases. Defensively, they're outstanding. I don't know what they're got to be 1, 2, 3 in the country on defense, giving up 10 points a game, 260 yards a game, 75 yards rushing a game, third down percentages, low 30s. I mean, they affect you up front with multiple fronts, multiple packages, blitzes, coverages. I mean, they do a really, really good job. Got really good players, coach very well, and as good a defense as we've played all year without a doubt, by far. Offensively, as good offensive line, they can run the football. Backs are outstanding. I mean, you talk about Swift, but 35 and all them other guys, they're really good players. They use the play-action game very well. Jake's a tremendous quarterback, takes care of the football, makes smart decisions, plays winning football, makes the big plays when he has to, and run it whatever he has to do. Really good player. They have big, long guys at the receiver position, hard to match up in what you do there. And they're a very sound football team, offense and defensively, really good. Scoring 32 and giving up 10, so that's pretty good. And kickers and punter, kickers outstanding, got great range, kicks it off. I think there's only been 10 kicks returned all season on kickoff returns, kicks them out. Punter, excellent. Greg Hangtime gets the ball up. The return game got excellent players. So listen, this is a big-time team. They're in the top 4 for a reason. They won the SEC West for a reason. And so we have to go over there in their opponent in their field. We have to play one heck of a football game to have a chance to compete with them and play.
All right, Gabe, then we'll go Olin and Brent.
I know when Travion announced he was leaving, you're going into spring ball, you probably thought you'd have Corbin and Vernon Jackson and a lot of guys. But was two-back always something you thought you'd be doing this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're always going to do that. I mean, it's going to be when we install day one, we're always going to do that. And then you build from two-back to one-back and how you replace the guy out in the blocking assignments. And that's still your foundation. And it still goes back to where everything starts from and always will.
Second row, Olin.
Yeah, Coach, we hear about the freshman wall. Guys in their first year that at some point start to decline, but that hasn't been an issue with your guys. Why do you think that is?
I think there was some times earlier in the year I think it was there. Sometimes the fatigue early, I think there was a lot more early than you thought because you didn't see, I mean, you recognize it with youth, but they were hitting it because some of them got really put in tough situations where they were starters, not in games 6, 7, and 8, but in games 2, 3, and 4, and 5. I mean, it was how to prepare, how to practice, the wear and tear on you mentally, psychologically of playing at that high level and some of the teams at which we were playing early in the season, that wear and tear. There was a wall there, but they just kept playing. They just kept playing. They learned through it. They fought through it, and I've gotten better. And hopefully, we can get play the last 2 games before we hit another wall, and then we can regroup for a bowl game. But we got to get through these last 2 games with that. But I think they're learning and understanding cause and effect of how we practice, what's required, how to do it, and when you do things right, you get good results.
Down front, Brent.
How much fun is it for you with your offensive approach that kind of what you're doing, what's old is new again, and defenses are having trouble preparing for that now?
Well, I mean, it is. And it's still sound football. It still gives you chances, and you still could throw it. You can still, people don't realize you get in split pro. That's as good a formation there is to throw the football. When you're basking, catching, you got a tight end who's versatile and 2 receivers. That's as good a formation there is to throw the football. People don't look at that. You can do all kind of stuff out of that. So, I mean, it all derives from that. And I think as long as you keep your roots and don't leave them too far, we can go the one back, we can go no huddle, we can do all the spread stuff, but having that as your base where you teach from gives you sometimes when you have to go back and pull it back out, it's good.
Front left, Zach, and then Travis.
Jimbo, a couple of your guys talked about not letting the moment get bigger than really what it is.
Yes.
And how do you go about making sure that they have that mentality of taking it one play at a time?
Well, here's the thing, I mean, about how you practice. Because here's what happens. No matter what you go to a situation, when you get to pressure situations and things start to happen you think are happening too fast, here's what happens to every human being in this world. Your habits come straight to the surface. What you do daily, what you think, what you believe, and you don't even realize it because instinct kicks in, okay? And by making sure you practice right and create the right habits, so if those situations do occur, hopefully those habits come to light. Because I believe you don't win because you want to, you win because you train to, and how you train and how you practice. Because those things keep coming out. They pull. You can't not do what you do in practice, because it's what you do daily, which makes it is who you are. And so you make sure your practice habits and your process is right. So when those situations come, and I think experience is the other thing. They've experienced some really tough situations we've been in and some teams we've played. So hopefully that'll help us down the stretch right here.
Front left, Travis.
2 questions. First, how impressed have you been with Charles Oliver and that move from cornerback to nickel that I know even Buddy said was one of the toughest positions to play on the field?
It is. It's really good because the intelligence and the way things come at you and what your assignments are, and he's done a really good job of commanding that and played excellent football. Gets 6 pass breakups in the game, and what he did playing corner back and forth, it takes a very special guy to go back and forth.
And then I know a lot's been said about the schedule and how different teams you'll play now at this end of the schedule. How unique is it with the 2 games that y'all have left to be able to potentially affect the outcome of the playoff as much as y'all have?
Well, it is, but as much as we want to affect the outcome of our own program. And how we play and what we do and what we get out of that. I mean, we want to affect our program by how we play, and hopefully we've learned from the games earlier in the year of how to approach those games and understand the level of ball you have to play at consistently, day in, day out. And those young guys, it's going to be nothing but a great learning experience here, but something hopefully we've learned and we've played well this last month. And we keep November rolling and play well, good football. But it's important for our program. I mean, not just the playoffs is wonderful, but I'm worried about what's going on at A&M.
Right side, Gabe, then we'll go to the left.
And Jimbo, in this nickel, kind of playing off Travis' point, I mean, you go back to DCS last year, and then all the guys you've used at that spot this year, they've all been successful in that. What is it about that nickel spot?
And it depends on what kind of team you play. Mike's doing a really good job by the type of nickels you play based on what they do with the guy in the slot. Sometimes, Chap's done a great job. I mean, he's done, Lewis done a great, I mean, everybody we've put in there has done a great job. But also by their style, of their talent, of what we're playing against, I think we've matched that up very well. And I think it's indicative of the way the game is being played today. I think the game is such a game of matchups, and you have to have such a multiplicity of talents and different positions to be able to move. And that's why the old day, he's a corner, he's a safety, he's a nickel, he's an outside backer. No, they better be a football player. So you can mix and match by personnels to be able to match the guys you need in the slot or the outside or what you got. I think it's very indicative of how the game has changed today, and you got to be able to have the diversity on defense or however to match what they're doing.
To the left, Suzanne, and then Sam.
Couple of questions. First,
Yes.
on the split pro that you were talking about, or two halfbacks. How many times did y'all use that? Was it mainly in the fourth quarter on Saturday?
No, we use it earlier in the game sometimes. I mean, it was just mixed and matched and how we did things.
Because you were talking about that Saturday night. I was here. I was with Brent in the press box. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Taking
see.
care of them. Okay.
And yeah, we're making deadline. But you were talking about how teams don't prepare for that and how it's a good look. I guess. It's
Well,
like,
you don't see it as much. I mean, it's the old. It's like people say the other day, and people know it. There's no magical formula that. Okay, we're doing that. They don't know what to do. They know what to do. It's just something you don't practice as much. And it was like when teams were spread teams back in the day. Everybody was more conventional football. You could simulate it and you practiced it, but how much did you really? Could you do it? And I think that makes a big difference. And hopefully, it's something we do every day and something they only do part of the time. So hopefully, if we can execute better than that, and they are.
The other question I have on the Georgia defense, I know that they really like their safety, J.R. Reed.
Oh yeah.
And
Reed,
they think he's-
LeCount.
yeah.
Yeah, I can give you a whole list of them.
Well, I mean, what does Georgia like to? You were talking about blitzes. I mean, how much do they like to blitz?
Oh, they'll pressure you now. Kirby's an aggressive guy now. Kirby's an aggressive guy. He's a great football coach. I've coached with him, been on staff with him, and he's been around Nick and those guys all that time, and he has his own way of doing things. But he learned from good people, and they will pressure you as backers, inside blitzes, double edge. But I mean, corners and wheel backers and safeties on that side, front side, inside twist blitzes. They'll bring it from all angles, and they're very exotic on third down too.
Stay to the left, Sam.
Jimbo, I'm curious, how much better do you feel like your team is than it was a month ago?
Well, I think we've gotten better. I think you've seen the results. I think we're learning to embrace the physicality. The young guys are really learning to embrace the physicality and all the things we're doing. And I think we're a much better football team, I do. But hopefully it'll show in these last two games. We'll find out.
And in terms of where your team is at physically, endurance, talking about guys hitting walls, how much do you lean on data and how fast guys are going in practice?
Listen, we were the first person to use the GPS in the country. It sits on my desk when I walk in, the data of what goes on, speeds, loads, body movements, changes. It sits on my desk. It's the very first report I look at. We do it as a team collectively, and each individual is broken down by this thing. And I've used that. We were one of the first ones maybe in all the country to do it back when I became a head coach in 2010. We've been doing that and been able to develop it and got our system for what we like and how we like and can tell player loads and what to use them on, when to use them, when to pull back in practice, when to speed up, whatever we do. And I use that extensively on different things in which we do.
In general, I guess, how is your team in that? In
right now,
terms of energy,
very strong. We're getting the speeds are going up, our times are going up, our power is going up. It seems like we're hitting things on the rise.
Go to the back right, Mike.
Coach, y'all
Tyler.
faced some really good quarterbacks this year. How does Fromm stack up against some of those?
As good as anybody in the country. Listen, this guy, he understands how to see. Here, everybody talk about, does this guy run? Does he throw? What's his number? What you better ask is, the guy understand how to win. That's the number one thing you ask of a quarterback. Just like our guy. You talk about our guy right now. You talk about selfless, can play, tough, leadership. Guys love him, play for him, do everything in the world for him. They love him, man. And Fromm reminds me of that same type of mode. Kellen, I'll speak about Kellen in a minute. I'm so happy with him. It's ridiculous. And what he's doing. And everything isn't totally perfect. It's never perfect. But the things he does and the way our team responds, it's incredible. The leadership and toughness he shows. And that's why our team is playing that way. When the quarterback's tough, it does. And that's indicative of Georgia. Fromm's the same type of guy. Guy's selfless, make all the throws, make all the runs. All he does is make the right decisions, take care of the football, and they win games and move the football. To me, that's what a quarterback is. We get caught in all these other things. Fromm is an excellent football player.
Staying in the back behind the lights, Tyler.
Coach, the way you guys played defensively against South Carolina, especially against the run, is that kind of the recipe for success against Georgia?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, Georgia first and foremost, Georgia's going to run the football. Tremendous offensive line, tremendous backs, tight ends. That's their forte. That's their identity. And you're never going to shut them down, but you have to be able to play it. And you have to match the physicality and toughness, and it'll be a huge challenge for our defense.
Second row left, Alex.
Couple for you, Coach. First, injury updates on Tyree Johnson and Elijah Blades.
Elijah will be day-to-day. Got banged up on that shoulder. Hopefully Tyree will be back.
Gotcha. And then second one, this is the first time
But
you're
we'll
playing.
see. I mean, that's all day-to-day stuff.
Okay. And first time you guys are playing Georgia as members of the SEC. They don't come back on the schedule till 2024. Would you like to see getting to play some of these more cross-divisional games, considering you guys only get to play one aside from the
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just the way the SEC schedule is. I mean, I know they're looking at some formats going forward that, keep the 3 main and rotate 5 and all those things. And I think it is good for your players eventually to be able to play everybody in a conference. I really do believe that. I mean, I think that's good, and to have that you've played that team or been in that stadium and those things, it is. But when you have conferences as big as you have now, that's kind of the way it goes.
Down front, Brent, and then to the left, Justin.
Stick with the theme of two-parters here. So y'all had the ball almost 42 minutes. What's the key to possessing the ball like that, that kind of time?
Patience and third down conversions. And that's what we fell short in the third quarter for 2 or 3 drives. We missed 2 or 3 third, and because when you start running the football and doing those things, you're getting a lot of 3rd and 3s, 4s, 5s. You know what I'm saying? And when you convert those, man, those become frustrating, and you eat drives and you do things. But when you don't, you got to have third down conversion. You got to be able to hit those third down. Now we were 4 for 4 on short yardage. Then we had some early in those early drives. We hit our third down. Then later we hit our third down conversion. Remember the big one to Oz and got things going, and then we took off in the second half. But also when you're controlling the clock and you're doing it, you get in when you run the football. 2nd 7, you go in 3, but you got to convert a lot of 3 to 2 to 5s. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be very effective in your third down conversions. If not, then you get to quick 3 and outs. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're creating big plays, you're not going to keep the ball anyway. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about those long drives. We had what, 3 or 4 drives, or 12, 13, 14, 16 play drives in that game. There were 3 or 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean? But the key to that is consistency, eliminate negative plays, don't have penalties, and you got to be able to convert usually 3rd and 2 to 6 or somewhere 2 to 5s in that range.
Were you in Cincinnati when you heard about the Bonfire collapse, and what was your reaction at that time? Did you learn a little bit about?
I did. I was just the tragedy of it, and you just hate for kids to be who love their school and out there being in a part of a great tradition and history, and just have something like that happen when it's like the highlight of the year to go do that and have the bonfire. It was just it was so sad. It really was, and you just hated the tragedy that happened for those kids and for A&M.
To the left, Justin, and then Cease, you'll wrap us up.
Coach, a game like this, obviously you just gave Kirby credit, seeing how aggressive he was. Interested your thoughts on you versus him and kind of the chess match that goes on in a game like this. How much do you look forward to that?
Well, listen, we used to play noontime basketball, and I used to get him. So if we played that, I'd be okay. Now I'm getting older now. But no, he's a great coach. He's done a great job with that program. He's recruited well. He's coached well. And, I mean, they're so sound. When you look at film, just like last week, and I said it with South Carolina, that's why I was happy. We were able to make plays when they were doing it right. You always hear me say, you play good football. When the other team does it right and you're still able to make yards and block, you're getting better. There's no gimmicks. You can look at certain teams saying these formations, I may be able to get these 3 things in this or this or this. You don't see that on Georgia film. I mean, every guy's going to be covered. He's going to be contested tightly. The fronts are going to be right. The gaps are going to be filled. They're going to bring different looks, they're going to challenge you mentally, physically, psychologically. I mean, in all offense, defense, especially, it's a very well coached team, and it's going to be a huge challenge for our players. And he does a good job. He does a tremendous job.
Second row left, Cease, you wrap us up.
Do you feel your offense now is better at run blocking than pass blocking?
Well, I generally, as an overall consensus, I think run blocking is easier in general than pass blocking. I really do in certain situations when it gets right down to it, especially when I say that overall, that's not always true, but for the most part, especially with the D lineman you face in this league, understand something, man. The guys you face in this league, and I've been in other leagues and I've played everybody's got them. And every matchup across that board, you got to make sure and hope. There's no weak links that the guys can say, well, I can just block him. You got to hold your breath. But right now we're probably, I would say, run blocking a little bit better. I would say that.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.